Ever feel like you're running on fumes, chasing nods from people who don't get you, spilling your guts to prove you're worth a damn, only to watch your fire flicker out? You're trapped, yelling into a wind that doesn't care, while your real shot at greatness gathers dust. Wake up. True power ignites when you ditch the crowd's approval, zero in on yourself, and master the art of shutting the hell up. Stoicism cuts it clean. Talk less, build more, and stop letting outsiders steer your soul. Imagine this. You quit dancing for claps, stop explaining yourself to ghosts, and aim that energy inward. Boom. Clarity slices through, discipline locks tight, and progress storms ahead. No breaks. The moment you grip it, no need to broadcast your grind or beg for a thumbs up. You're not just strong, you're a titan. No noise, no pleas, just you, carving your path in the quiet. This isn't hiding, it's saving your spark for what counts, forging iron in the shadows, and letting your victories roar for you. We're tearing into the core, how to lock onto you, burn distractions to ash, and wield silence like a warhead. If you're done bleeding for validation and ready to rise unbreakable, stick with us. Smash that like, share this with someone lost in the chatter, and subscribe to Victory Stoic for more raw truth. Drop "I rule my silence" in the comments to own it and spill. What's one time you let others' back noise derail you? Let's cut it loose. Let's conquer. Number 1. Stop seeking validation from others. You don't need permission to chase your dreams. You don't need approval to start. Yet so many people fall into the trap of waiting for external validation before they take action. They hesitate, afraid of judgment, afraid of failing in public, afraid that their dreams will be dismissed by those around them. But here's the truth. The most successful people don't wait for applause. They act, even when no one believes in them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." This is the contradiction that keeps people trapped. They want to be free, yet they let the words and expectations of others dictate their choices. But what happens when you break free from this need for validation? You take control. You stop hesitating. You stop looking sideways and start moving forward. Take Eleanor, an aspiring writer who dreamed of publishing her first book. She shared her ambition with friends and family, hoping for encouragement. Instead, she was met with skepticism. "Do you really think you can make it as a writer? Isn't that too risky? Why not get a stable job instead?" She felt crushed, doubting herself before even trying. For months, she let their words sit in her mind, convincing herself that maybe they were right. But then, she stumbled upon an interview about J.K. Rowling, how she was rejected by 12 publishers before finally breaking through. The moment Eleanor read that, she realized something. The difference between success and failure wasn't talent alone. It was persistence, and persistence required ignoring the noise. The world's greatest minds understood this well. When Galileo proposed that the Earth revolved around the sun, the majority of society ridiculed him. When Vincent van Gogh pursued his art, he sold only one painting in his lifetime. When Steve Jobs was forced out of Apple, many thought he was finished. But none of them stopped. They didn't wait for approval to continue their work. They believed in their vision when no one else did, and history proved them right. The need for validation is a prison. It keeps you locked in hesitation, constantly second-guessing your path. But the reality is, most people who judge you aren't even thinking about you that much. They're too caught up in their own struggles, their own insecurities. And the few who do judge, they often project their own fears onto you. If they gave up on their dreams, they'll tell you yours is impossible. If they never took risks, they'll warn you against taking them. But their limitations are not yours to carry. So what happens when you stop seeking validation? You become unstoppable. You start acting with conviction instead of waiting for permission. You start trusting yourself instead of looking for external reassurance. The moment Eleanor decided to stop seeking approval, she committed to writing every day. She stopped talking about her dream and started living it. A year later, she self-published her first novel, and to her surprise, it gained traction. The same people who once doubted her were suddenly asking her for advice on following their own dreams. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that they are difficult." Most of the difficulty we experience is self-imposed, created by our own fear of judgment. But the moment you realize you don't need validation, you gain something far greater: freedom. Freedom to create, to take risks, to move forward without hesitation. Stop seeking approval, stop explaining yourself, and stop waiting for the world to give you permission. You don't need it. Start now. Number 2, stay silent and focus on action. Talking about your plans feels good. It gives you a temporary high, a sense of accomplishment, almost as if you've already done the work. But this is an illusion. Every time you speak about your goals instead of acting on them, you drain the energy needed to make them real. Seneca once wrote, "Do not discuss a good life, live it." This is the essence of discipline. The more you talk, the more you invite doubt, distractions, and external opinions that can derail your focus. The most powerful individuals in history weren't the ones who made grand speeches about their dreams before taking action. They were the ones who let their results speak for them. Take David, an entrepreneur who had a revolutionary idea for a tech startup. Excited, he shared his vision with friends, family, and colleagues. At first, their enthusiasm fueled him. But soon, the questions and skepticism began. That market is too competitive. Are you sure you have the experience for this? What if it doesn't work? The more he talked, the more these doubts took root in his mind. Before long, he found himself overthinking, delaying action, and losing the confidence he once had. The momentum he had built through his excitement vanished, and the startup never got off the ground. Compare this to Thomas Edison. While many inventors at the time were focused on theories and debates, Edison locked himself in a lab and experimented relentlessly. He didn't talk about creating the light bulb. He made it happen through 10,000 failed attempts. He understood a fundamental truth. Progress is built in silence, not in noise. Psychologists call this the intention-action gap. The more we verbalize a goal, the more our brain mistakenly registers it as progress, making us less likely to follow through. Talking gives a false sense of accomplishment, while true achievement only comes through disciplined execution. This is why the Stoics valued restraint over grand declarations. Epictetus advised, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Your words mean nothing without action. The more you act in silence, the stronger you become. So how do you apply this? Keep your plans private. Let results be the proof of your work. Act immediately. Instead of talking about what you'll do, start doing it. Let go of external validation. If success is your goal, then only results matter, not opinions. David eventually learned this lesson. Instead of announcing his next project, he worked on it quietly. He didn't seek approval, didn't explain himself. He simply built. A year later, his company was thriving, and the same people who doubted him were now asking for advice. The world doesn't reward those who talk about their dreams. It rewards those who stay silent and work. Keep your focus, move in silence, and let your success make the noise. Number 3, your focus is your greatest asset. Distraction is the enemy of progress, and most distractions come from caring too much about what others are doing or thinking. Every moment spent scrolling through social media, comparing yourself to someone else, or reacting to external noise is a moment stolen from your own growth. Marcus Aurelius warned against this when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you allow your focus to be pulled in every direction, you lose control of your most valuable resource, your attention. Think about elite athletes, world-class musicians, or self-made entrepreneurs. Their success isn't accidental. It's the result of relentless focus on what truly matters. They don't waste energy tracking competitors, engaging in meaningless arguments, or worrying about gossip. They channel everything into their craft, their discipline, and their personal evolution. Take Jonathan, a young trader who started his career obsessed with the moves of others. He constantly checked what competitors were doing, doubted his own strategies, and second-guessed himself based on market noise. His performance suffered. Then he made one decision that changed everything. He stopped looking outward and focused solely on refining his own system. Within a year, his profits skyrocketed, not because he worked harder, but because he eliminated distractions and trusted his own path. Seneca wrote, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." If your mind is scattered across 100 different things, you won't master any of them. The most powerful individuals protect their focus like their greatest treasure because they know that where their attention goes, their results follow. So how do you apply this? Cut out unnecessary noise. Stop wasting time on things that don't move you forward. Limit social media, unnecessary conversations, and distractions that add nothing to your goals. Focus all your energy on improving yourself, your work, and your future. The moment you reclaim your focus, you take back control of your life. Number 4. Stop sharing everything about your life. In today's world, people feel an almost compulsive need to document every aspect of their lives. What they're doing, what they're thinking, and what their next big move is. Social media has conditioned us to believe that if something isn't shared, it didn't happen. But this mindset is a trap. The more you reveal, the more you expose yourself to criticism, envy, and unnecessary distractions. Not everyone needs to know your plans. Not everyone wants to see you win. Marcus Aurelius warned against this in Meditations when he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." The Stoics believed in quiet action, not public announcements. Your success should be seen, not told. Every time you broadcast your next move, you invite doubt, unsolicited opinions, and even silent opposition from people who may not have your best interests at heart. Consider Daniel, a young entrepreneur who had a revolutionary idea for a startup. Excited, he posted about his plans, expecting encouragement. Instead, he received skepticism, negativity, and even subtle discouragement from people who had never built anything themselves. Over time, his enthusiasm dimmed. He spent more time explaining and defending his ideas than actually executing them. Eventually, he realized the truth. Talking about his plans wasn't moving him forward. Silence was. The most powerful individuals throughout history understood this well. Steve Jobs didn't talk about every product he was working on. He revealed them only when they were ready. Warren Buffett doesn't discuss every investment he's considering. He moves in silence and lets results speak for themselves. The greatest thinkers, inventors, and leaders weren't obsessed with sharing. They were obsessed with doing. So how do you apply this? Keep your progress private. Not every success, failure, or goal needs to be announced. Avoid the need for validation. If your work is truly meaningful, you won't need social approval to keep going. Let your results do the talking. When you succeed, people will see it. You won't need to prove anything. Seneca once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Focus on your growth, your work, and your personal evolution. The less you announce, the more you accomplish. Move in silence and let your success be the only thing people notice. Number 5. When you stop seeking approval, you become free. The moment you stop looking for validation from others, you reclaim your power. Most people live their entire lives trying to please others, parents, friends, society, even strangers on the internet. They shape their decisions based on how they will be perceived, rather than what they truly want. But freedom begins when you stop needing approval and start focusing on your own self-respect. Think of Alex, an artist who spent years doubting his own work. Every painting he created was met with hesitation. Will people like this? Will they understand it? What if they criticize it? Instead of creating for himself, he painted what he thought would be accepted. His work became diluted, uninspired. Then one day he read a quote by Marcus Aurelius. "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." That struck him. He realized he wasn't living. He was performing. That day, he made a decision. He would create for himself, not for approval. He stopped asking for feedback before finishing his work, stopped chasing trends, and started expressing his true vision. Ironically, it was when he let go of the need to be liked that people truly began to appreciate his work. He had freed himself. Seeking approval is like being a prisoner in a golden cage. At first, it seems comforting, knowing that your actions are accepted, that you fit in, that you are liked. But soon, you realize that every decision you make is dictated by the fear of rejection. The bars may not be visible, but they are real. You hesitate to speak your mind, to take risks, to be yourself, because deep down, you fear the consequences of disapproval. Imagine a tree growing in a dense forest. If it stretches its branches too wide, it might overshadow the trees around it. But if it stays small to avoid conflict, it will never reach the sunlight. People who seek constant validation are like that tree, shrinking themselves to make others comfortable. But what happens when the tree stops caring about the space it takes up? It grows freely, reaching heights it was meant to reach. History proves this time and time again. The people who change the world, innovators, creators, revolutionaries, are never the ones who seek approval. When Galileo challenged the idea that the Earth was the center of the universe, he was ridiculed. When the Wright brothers pursued human flight, they were dismissed as lunatics. But they did not stop. They understood that true progress comes not from seeking permission, but from following conviction. So how do you break free? First, recognize that no matter what you do, some people will always disapprove. You could be the kindest, most talented, most well-intentioned person, and still, someone will find a reason to criticize you. Second, shift your focus from external validation to internal respect. Ask yourself, do I respect the decisions I am making? Am I being true to my own values? When you start measuring your worth by your own standards instead of others, you become unshakable. Alex eventually realized that his best work was the one he created without fear. The same people who once doubted him started admiring his confidence. He no longer sought their approval, and ironically, that's what made him stand out. The moment you stop looking for validation, you gain something much more valuable: authenticity, confidence, and freedom. Number 6, stop comparing yourself to others. Focus on your own path. Comparison is a thief of joy. In today's digital world, it's easier than ever to feel like you're falling behind. You open your phone and see someone celebrating a promotion, another person buying a new house, a friend traveling the world. It looks like everyone else is succeeding while you're still figuring things out. But what you're seeing is not reality. It's a carefully curated highlight reel. Social media shows the victories, not the failures. It shows the end result, not the years of struggle, rejection, and doubt that came before. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others, unless it be with a view to some mutual benefit." The Stoics understood that energy spent on comparison is energy wasted. Your only competition is yourself from yesterday. Take Emily, a young photographer who once measured her success against others. She would scroll through Instagram and see photographers landing big magazine features, celebrities sharing their work, and peers growing their followings overnight. Every time she saw someone else succeed, she felt like she was falling behind. But what she didn't see were the thousands of photos they took that never got published, the years of rejection they endured, or the long nights spent improving their craft. She was comparing her beginning to someone else's middle, and the more she compared, the more discouraged she became, until she nearly gave up photography entirely. One day, she decided to change her perspective. Instead of focusing on what others were doing, she made a rule. The only metric that mattered was her own growth. She stopped scrolling mindlessly, stopped worrying about follower counts, and set a simple goal to improve her skills every day. A year later, she landed her first major contract, not because she chased validation, but because she focused on becoming better. Comparison is an illusion because no two paths are the same. One person might succeed in their 20s, another in their 50s. One might take a direct route, another might stumble through detours. But the only timeline that matters is your own. So how do you stop comparing? First, limit your exposure to triggers. If scrolling through social media makes you feel inadequate, take a break from it. Second, shift your focus inward. Instead of asking, "Am I doing better than them?" ask, "Am I doing better than I was yesterday?" When your goal is personal growth, external competition becomes irrelevant. Emily eventually realized that real success isn't about being ahead of someone else, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. And the irony? The moment she stopped looking sideways and focused on her own path, she started progressing faster than ever. That's the lesson. Comparison slows you down, but focus on yourself accelerates growth. Keep your eyes on your own journey, and you'll get exactly where you need to be. Number 7, discipline over motivation. The key to consistency. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the wind, appearing in moments of excitement but disappearing the moment things get difficult. If you rely on motivation to achieve your goals, you will fail. Discipline, not motivation, is what separates those who succeed from those who never reach their potential. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus once said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? If you only work when you feel inspired, you will always be waiting." The truly successful don't wait for the perfect mood or the right moment. They show up and do the work, no matter what. Take James, an aspiring writer who always dreamed of publishing a novel. At first, he felt inspired. He spent hours writing, fueled by the excitement of creating something new. But then, writer's block hit. The enthusiasm faded. He started skipping writing sessions, telling himself, "I'll get back to it when I feel ready." Days turned into weeks, then months, and the book remained unfinished. Contrast that with Stephen King, one of the most successful authors of all time. He writes every single day, no matter what. Rain or shine, inspired or exhausted, he sits down and puts words on paper. That's why he has published over 60 books, while most aspiring writers never finish one. He doesn't rely on motivation, he relies on habit. Discipline is doing the work even when you don't feel like it. It's showing up when no one is watching. It's going to the gym when you'd rather stay in bed, studying when your friends are out, writing when the words don't come easily. Motivation is fleeting, but habits, once built, sustain themselves. So how do you cultivate discipline? First, remove emotion from the equation. Stop asking yourself, "Do I feel like doing this?" and start asking, "Is this important to my future?" Second, create a system. The most disciplined people don't rely on willpower. They create routines that make success inevitable. Set a schedule. Stick to it. Make action non-negotiable. James eventually realized this and stopped waiting for motivation. He committed to writing 500 words a day, whether he felt inspired or not. Some days were frustrating, but he stuck with it. A year later, he had a finished manuscript, not because he was the most talented, but because he was the most consistent. Seneca once wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." The people who seem the luckiest are simply those who have built the discipline to be ready when the moment comes. Stop waiting for motivation, it's unreliable. Discipline is what will carry you to success. Number 8. When you stay silent, you observe more. Silence is a tool most people underestimate. In a world where everyone is eager to speak, to share their thoughts, to prove their intelligence, those who remain quiet hold a hidden advantage. When you stay silent, you sharpen your ability to observe, to understand, and to navigate situations with clarity. Meanwhile, those who talk too much often reveal too much, miss important details, and weaken their position. Marcus Aurelius once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak." This principle is often ignored, yet it is one of the most powerful ways to gain an edge in any area of life. Those who listen more and speak less are the ones who truly understand what's happening around them. Take Michael, a young entrepreneur who was entering a highly competitive business industry. At networking events, he noticed how most people were eager to talk about their successes, their strategies, their grand ideas. Instead of joining in, he chose a different approach. He listened. He absorbed information, took mental notes on what others were doing right and wrong, and identified patterns in conversations that revealed who was truly knowledgeable and who was simply showing off. Over time, this habit gave Michael a significant advantage. While others wasted time impressing each other with words, he gathered insights. He learned what worked, what mistakes to avoid, and where opportunities lay. When he finally spoke, his words carried weight because they were backed by careful observation and understanding. This principle applies in all areas of life. In negotiations, the person who speaks less holds more power. In relationships, the one who listens deeply understands more about their partner's emotions and needs. In social settings, the quiet observer picks up on unspoken dynamics that others miss. The problem with talking too much is that it often comes from a place of insecurity. People feel the need to fill silence, to prove they belong, to make sure their presence is acknowledged. But in reality, the most confident individuals do not need to constantly broadcast their thoughts. They know their value does not depend on how much they say, but on the impact of their actions. Consider historical figures like Abraham Lincoln. He was known for his ability to listen more than he spoke. In meetings, he would let others argue, debate, and exhaust themselves. Only when he had gathered enough insight would he speak, and when he did, his words were measured, precise, and impactful. This is why people respected him, and why he was able to lead effectively. So how can you apply this in your own life? First, practice deliberate silence. Instead of jumping into every conversation, pause. Let others speak first. Listen carefully, not just to words, but to tone, body language, and what is left unsaid. Second, embrace the discomfort of silence. Many people talk just to fill awkward gaps, but true confidence lies in being comfortable with quiet moments. Third, speak only when necessary. When you do talk, make sure your words add value rather than noise. Michael's business eventually thrived because of his ability to observe before acting. His competitors, who were too busy talking and chasing attention, missed the subtle shifts in the market that he had noticed early on. When he finally launched his new product, he did so with knowledge that others had overlooked. His silence had not made him invisible, it had made him powerful. The lesson is clear. The more you listen, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more strategic you become. And when you finally do speak, your words will carry the weight of wisdom, not just noise. Number 9, move forward. Like a warrior, let your success speak for itself. A true warrior does not boast about the battles they are about to fight. They train, they endure, and when the moment comes, their strength is revealed through action, not words. The same applies to success. Those who truly achieve do not need to announce their journey. Their results make the statement for them. Seneca once wrote, "It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness." The journey to success is long, filled with discipline, setbacks, and unseen struggles. But when you commit to mastering your craft, to showing up every day and refining your skills, you build something undeniable. Something that speaks louder than any words ever could. Think of an athlete training for the Olympics. They don't spend time telling the world about their grueling practice sessions. They wake up before dawn, push their limits, endure pain, and prepare relentlessly. They don't win gold because they talked about their preparation. They win because they did the work in silence. When the medal is placed around their neck, they don't have to say a word. The world already knows. This principle applies to every area of life. Wealth, talent, and influence do not come from talking about your goals. They come from relentless action. The richest people don't need to flaunt their bank accounts. Their financial moves speak for them. The most skilled professionals don't need to declare their expertise. Their work proves it. The most respected leaders don't demand recognition. Their impact earns it naturally. Take Lucas, a self-made investor. When he started, no one believed in him. Instead of arguing with doubters, he worked in silence, reading, studying, and refining his strategies. While others were busy seeking validation, he was busy acquiring knowledge. Years later, when his wealth grew exponentially, the same people who once ignored him now sought his advice. But he never needed to announce his success. It was already written in the life he had built. So how do you apply this? First, let go of the need for external approval. You do not need an audience to validate your progress. Second, embrace the discipline of quiet mastery. The world does not need to know every step of your journey. Let them see the transformation when it's complete. Third, move forward with the mindset of a warrior. Train in silence, build relentlessly, and when the moment comes, let your achievements make the noise. A true champion does not chase applause, they focus on victory. Your results, your skills, and your legacy will speak for you, without you having to utter a single word. Move forward with quiet confidence and watch as the world takes notice. Conclusion: master yourself, let success speak. Success is not built on seeking approval, chasing recognition, or proving yourself to others. It is forged through focus, discipline, and relentless action. The moment you stop worrying about what is outside your control and start directing all your energy towards self-improvement, you become unstoppable. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." What you choose to focus on, your growth, your mindset, your actions, determines the life you create. Those who waste time seeking validation will always be at the mercy of others. But those who work in silence, who refine their skills without the need for applause, will build a life that speaks for itself. The world does not reward those who talk about their dreams. It rewards those who make them a reality. Focus on yourself. Keep your progress private. Move forward like a warrior, not for approval but for mastery. Act in silence, and let your results announce your victory. If you are ready to take full control of your life, the time to start is now.